the day before, yesterday being a holiday. Um we started with external environment and we saw how the external environment can be studied with the help of four different factors. So, four different factors means the techniques of environmental appraisal can be studied by an ETOP analysis. Then, second is we have the quest analysis. Then we have the pest analysis, and then we have the SWOT analysis. So, I suppose we studied till, let me enlarge this screen. Anyone who has not followed up till here, anyone who is not followed, we did ETOP, then we did pest analysis, we did the factors with pest analysis. All right. Now we will do SWOT analysis and quest analysis. Now SWOT analysis becomes one of the methods in studying the environment of the business, that is the external environment. So we can call SWOT analysis as a well-known technique for analyzing the internal and external environment of business. SWOT, that is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat analysis. Now, this is a very simple tool. It is a simple tool that helps in studying the internal. When we talk about the internal environment, we focus on the strengths and weaknesses of the companies. And when we speak about the external environment, we focus on the threats and opportunities of a company. So, SWOT analysis involves identifying the business objectives and defining the significant internal and external factors for achieving the identified objectives. So what is SWOT analysis doing? It is identifying the business objectives and it is defining the internal and external factors so that the final objectives can be achieved. The main aim of conducting a SWOT analysis, it helps the business in protecting itself against the threat. Threat is from the your competitors, the other company, and to exploit the business opportunities. To exploit means to analyze to see how much business opportunities we have and how can we make a good use of those opportunities. This analysis is essential for formulating strategies. Why formulating strategies? Because it provides a base, means it provides the foundation for strategic it provides the foundation for strategic formulation. SWOT analysis also helps in studying the overall soundness of the business, means how the business is going on. Now, what are the components of SWOT? All right, we have the internal factors and we have the external factors. Now, the first two letters, acronym, means S stands for, acronym means S stands for strength, W sounds for weakness, refers to the internal factors that are resources available in the organization. These factors may impart strengths which can be utilized to exploit the opportunities or become a cause of weakness or weaknesses of a strategic nature for the organization. So what are we studying? We are studying strength and weaknesses, and then these the strength can be used to exploit the opportunities or become a cause of weakness for a strategic nature of the organization. So what is strength? These are the factors that provide competitive advantage to the organization, right? How can we be better than any other organization? That is also called as competitive advantage or a competitive edge. These factors collectively may allow an organization to bring a change in the organization. If we need to change, bring a change in the organization for the betterment, then we can make use of our strengths. These factors can be different for different organizations. Which are these factors? They can be resources, they can be skills. See, we have given an example. Presence in global market and collaboration with reputed international firms. There can be some collaboration with some reputed firms, then tie-ups with internationally reputed manufacturers and exporters, then experience in tooling selectivity and metal cutting, and manufacturers certified with ISO 9001 certification. Now tie up internationally. Any insurance company in India, when we start, we take the expertise. If we want to have a tie up, we take the expertise of some international insurance companies. Like we have Tata AIG, right? Bharati AXA. Bharati is Indian, AXA is UK. Tata is Indian, AIG is US. ICICI Prudential, ICICI Prudential. See, there are two companies. That means one becomes the Indian origin and other companies we are taking for expertise. Then we have weaknesses. Weaknesses are the factors that limit the growth of a company or restrict the company from moving in the desired direction. That means weakness is pulling the company behind. These factors also hinder means the creator, or other word I'll give you is it stops the organization from achieving success through internal capabilities. Internal capabilities means what capacities, what capabilities does the organization have within itself. These factors vary as per the organization. Now you vary, huh? VRY means they are different for different organizations. A weakness can be anything such as lack of resource, lack of market understanding, lack of fund. For example, for example, inconsistencies in cash flow system, lack of research facilities, and use of outdated research data. That's why when you're going to your SIP, most of the students are saying, oh, they're asking us to collect the data, collect the data. See, because post-pandemic, all companies need a new data. So lack of research facilities and use of outdated dated research data. So they want you to work with the new data. And that's the reason you need to collect the primary data. Lack of latest technologies and no web presence. You don't know Google, you don't know web designing. New firm and hence lack of goodwill. You know what is goodwill? Like nobody knows you in the market because you're a new firm. Then external factors. External factors reside outside the organization. That is, they are outside the organization. Now, these are of two types. Opportunities. An opportunity is a major favorable situation, all right? Favorable situation in the firm's environment. The industry should build its production capacity to meet the upward moving demand, right? So opportunities are taking care of the upward moving demand both for domestic and international markets. Opportunities are those factors which act as favorable situations. What are the favorable situations? Because opportunities will always teach you to utilize your maximum potential. Now, when I say your maximum potential means the organizational maximum potential in order to meet the demand. Now, your demand is of two types. It can be a domestic demand and it can be an international demand. That means you are manufacturing for yourself also and you are manufacturing to export also. For the organization, these situations encourage the organization to grow more and earn more profits. For example, loyal customers in the market, high demand of certain products in a particular season. Now, festival season, right? The demands are going to be high. So, how are you going to make use of your potential, your internal potential? Poor substitutes available in the market and obsolete technologies of the competitors. Like obsolete means, you can call as the technologies are outdated of the competitors. See, so what are the factors? Loyal customers in the market, yes. Then you are able to fulfill the high demand of certain products, yes. There are poor substitutes in your market, so your product is better than the competitors, and the competitors are using obsolete. It is not absolute, it's obsolete and outdated technologies in the market. Then we have threats. Threats are the external unfavorable conditions. They act as a barrier for the organization in achieving its desired market position. These factors also differ as per the organization and the areas in which it operates. For example, too many competitors of the similar product, right? Same product, there are too many competitors. So even you as a customer will get confused about which product to buy, which make to buy. So what you study? You study the product, you study the pros and cons of the product. Then introduction of taxes or increase in tax rates. Then recession in economy and latest technology were used by competitors. So what are the threats? You'll have too many competitors for the similar product. That means the competitors are manufacturing the same product as yours. All right. So what you need to do if you have to what do you say, counter this threat, you have to increase the quality of your product. You have to give some value addition to your product. Then introduction of taxes or increase in tax rates, recession in economy is going down, recession, right? People are losing their jobs, so no money in the market, standard of living is falling down, and latest technology used by competitors. Are you understanding SWOT? Did you understand SWOT? Please answer. Yes. Are you understanding SWOT? Nobody's answering today. Everybody is still in the festival mode. All right. Let's see the quest analysis, or quest analysis is also called as quick environmental scanning technique. It is a procedure that allows for the estimation of diverse environmental variables. Now, you know what are variables. They are those entities which keep on changing, right? In when you were in 10th standard, you studied in algebra, X and Y. What are they? They are variables. Similarly, we have environmental variables and it evaluates their impact on the organization. Evaluates means it studies their impact on an organization. It attempts to analyze the forces of nature by analyzing the impact of developments and patterns that are occurring in the market. So, what is exactly Quest doing? It is studying the environmental variables, first of all, and then it also studies the impact of those variables on the market or on the organization. Secondly, it attempts to analyze the forces of nature by analyzing the impact of developments and patterns. Developments and patterns. All right. In the following section, we will know In the following section, you will know the process of quest analysis. Now, let's see what is quest analysis. All right. Now, what are the assumptions that create in analyzing the environmental situation using the quest analysis? Now, let's see what are they. First, now that was the introduction I gave you. Now, we will exactly begin the quest. In the words of Nanos, quest is a future research procedure, right? It is telling us about the future research procedure that helps to allow the planners and the executives of the organization to exchange opinions. So it is giving you a platform to exchange opinions, to exchange ideas, to exchange information, and to exchange suggestions. It works around trends and developments in the coming external environment that are significant for companies' strategies and policies. This process is a systematic, extensive, and cost-effective method to understand the top issues and to direct the management's attention. Again, this process is a systematic, extensive, and cost-effective method. First of all, it is systematic, it is extensive, and it is cost-effective. Cost-effective means we will not need lots of money to do this quest analysis, to understand the top issues and to direct the management's attention. Also, the process identifies the areas where more in-depth analysis and planning will be helpful. So what is quest analysis doing? It is analyzing, it is identifying those developing areas in the organization where if you study those properly and it will be helpful for future planning. Then prepare for quest. Now, how do we do it? All right. The first step in the quest analysis is now why all this? Because see, the previous slide I told you, quest is a research oriented analysis. All right, it is a research oriented analysis. So first of all, definition of environmental concerns. What are the environmental concerns? What have you pinpointed? See, again, I repeat, environmental concerns, they are variables. You don't know exactly what is happening, but it is a variable. Choose the participants for a study. We need around 12 to 15 participants. Provide complete details regarding the recent trends in the environment of the company. Provide complete details regarding the recent trends in the environment of the company. Choose the place to conduct the research. Choose the place to conduct the research, right? Then, second is examine the environment. After the preparatory work is completed, the setting where the organization's operations are conducted is evaluated. Okay. First of all, you define the environmental concerns, you choose the participants, then you complete all the details regarding the trends in the environment of the company. Then you're choosing a place to conduct the research. Now, this becomes your preliminary preparation. You have just prepared it. Second is you are going to examine the environment, which says after the preparatory work is done, the setting where the organization's operation and conduct is evaluated. Now, where are we going to conduct the operations and where are we going to conduct the and where the evaluation is to be done. The first step is identifying the company's vision, mission, goals. First step. Second is strategic leaders must take a lot of time to analyze their surroundings. It is not that, okay, you begin today and you end by the evening, you study the environment. No, the environmental has to be studied very thoroughly because they are the variables, right? If you don't study them thoroughly, then your end result is going to change because you're going to lose on many parameters, many aspects you're going to lose. Strategic leaders must take a lot of time to analyze the surroundings. For this, you have to study the nature and the importance of business environment. Then record the discussions in a report. Whatever you have studied, you need to record it. You cannot keep it to yourself because this is dealing in planning. It is quest analysis is for the in-depth analysis of those factors which are going to help us in planning. So you need to record the decision in a report. The results are compiled in a short report when the business environment is examined. The information is in two sections. The first section outlines the organization strategy, and see the first section, okay, the first section outlines the organization's strategy, And the second section focuses on the possibilities for the future presented to the organization. So first um, we are going to outline. 1 minute, I'll put 1 here so you understand. We are going to outline the organization's strategies, and the second one is 1 minute. You'll understand if I put two here. The second section focuses on the possibilities for the future presented to the organization. Then the fourth is to discuss the report. The strategic leaders must discuss the report during a meeting and then analyze the various options available to the company. All right. During a meeting, during the meeting, and then can analyze the various options available to the company. Now, what do you mean by various options? For example, you face a problem, all right? Then you go for the solution, but the solution comes with lots of possibilities. You think every possibility is right. So in this case, you will select the best possibility. So they come out on it at an industry level, at an organization level, there were various options. Now they will select those options which are aligned with the vision, mission, goal, and objectives of the company. You can evaluate the multiple options as per the organization's future direction. Here, you need to bear in mind the strength and resources of the organization. So, again, we'll add two more factors to what I said in the previous statement. So, when you're going to select the options, we are going to study the options have to be aligned with mission, vision, mission, goals of the company, the objectives of the company, and we need to also keep in mind the strength and the resources of the organization. It does not provide a strategy to be developed, but it rather, see, what is quest analysis doing? It highlights the problems. So quest analysis is working on the problems and the issues. So whenever we talk about problems and issues, never say they are our weak areas. Even in the interview, when you say, please tell that they are developing areas to be considered when forming the strategy. It is the last step of quest analysis. So what can be the conclusion drawn from the quest analysis? The quest analysis is a structured process, right? Structured means it has to be carried out in the steps which are given. It has to be carried out in the steps which are given. The quest analysis is a structured process that helps agencies evaluate their strategic environment and make knowledgeable decisions. By following the evaluation steps, corporations means companies, can take advantage of precious insights, precious insights into their present day situation. They can even, do an in-depth analysis of their present day situation, pick out opportunities and threats, and increase techniques to reach the objectives. Again, by following the evaluation steps, corporations, that is the organizations, it is not this municipal corporation, all right? Corporations, oh, 1 minute, to make it more easy, I will put organizations. Organizations can take advantages of precious insights into their present day situation, pick out opportunities and threats, increase techniques to reach their objectives. The quest evaluation presents a systematic method, right? A systematic method to navigate their strategic landscapes. Now, navigate the strategic landscapes. Why we say so? Because Quest helps us to have an in-depth analysis of our weaknesses, in-depth analysis on the issues and the problems an organization is facing. So, Quest evaluation presents a systematic method of corporations to navigate The strategic landscape successfully and pressure success in a competitive enterprise environment. Anything up till here? Yes? Anything which you have not followed? Why nobody is answering today? Why nobody is answering? Why nobody is answering? How many of them are on mute? Komal, Chandrakant, Shreya, Prithvi, Shreyas Manthankar, Parvesh.
Yes, sir.
Nobody is answering. I'm asking you if you have any problem. Nobody is answering. Hmm? Nobody wants to answer today. All are in the festival mode. Now, scenario planning process. Okay. Scenario planning process. Now, what is scenario planning process? All right. The scenario planning process is is the to put in simple words, it is a shape how the industry looks. It is the shape of the industry. Now we know that planning itself is called as a process of learning. We define planning as a process of learning. So scenario planning. One minute, I'll go to the next slide. Okay. Now scenario planning is a technique which will help us to understand how the strategies are designed and how they are going to how the strategies are going to fare in future. Fare in future means how the strategies will work in future. It will also allow us to design a contingency plan. It's very important. Contingency plan means plan B. What we always speak in college. What is your plan A? What is your plan B? For example, if one plan fails, suppose there is a natural calamity, if one plan fails, we need to have a second plan in place. That is known as a contingency planning, and it will also help to gauge the strength of our strategy. How we have designed the strategy. Is it strong enough to face any troubles? Is it strong enough to face any issues which are created from outside? So, how do we do the planning process? First, brainstorm future scenarios. Now, brainstorm future scenarios means, see, future is always uncertain, right? But still, we try to study, we try to imagine what can happen in future. In the very step, you need to decide a time frame because we are talking about the future. Secondly, identify trends and driving forces. What type of trends, what type of uh, things are going on in the market. Create a scenario planning template. Means now create a scenario planning template. Again, I tell you, this step 3 is related to one because it is a future scenario. So you are just creating a rough plan as to what can happen. Then we are developing a scenario. Developing a scenario means, okay, I say always plan according to the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, what will happen, maximum or worst to worst, what can happen. Your scenario planning should be in that way. Then evaluate a scenario. For example, if I say there is a natural calamity, suppose there is an earthquake, now I need to develop a plan B to conduct the exams. So what can be the outcomes, right? How am I going to call my students? How am I going to ensure their safety? How am I going to see that they're mentally stable to write the exam? So this is the contingency planning. Then we'll evaluate a scenario. This will evaluation will be not be 100% right because it is a future scenario, but we'll get at least some idea as to what can be the desired outcomes. Then update strategies and policies accordingly. Now let's see. See here, it is a continuous iteration whatever you pronounce is, iteration is means change of circumstances, availability of new information. Now just see, step one, we are exploring external trends, right? Step two, we are framing our horizon and parameters. Now step two is dependent on step one. Then build your scenarios. We are building some scenarios. Okay, now I said earthquake. Then I am defining my strategies as per the earthquake. Now it is not necessary that when I'm doing a scenario planning, taking earthquake into consideration, that there has to be an earthquake. No, we are just looking at the future aspects and we are planning. Then build external flags and internal triggers. What can happen if there is an earthquake? How it will affect the internal environment as well. Then benefits of scenario planning. The scenario planning process provides several benefits for the organization, such as expanding current thinking and avoiding conformity of ideas. All right. What is doing? It is trying to expand the current thinking. Okay. Now, if I think this can happen, then I'm trying to work accordingly to that factor. Now, when I say I'm trying to work according to that factor, again I repeat, scenario planning is for the future. So we have assumptions. It can happen, it cannot happen. If this thing happens, then what am I going to work? What is my plan B for that? Expanding current thinking and avoiding conformity of ideas. Scenario planning allows the organization to broaden its thinking beyond its current reality, right? Beyond its current reality. Given the world's fastest changing nature, yes, as we say, the external environment is very dynamic. World's fastest changing nature, organizations must be careful not to fall into the trap of only following one line of thought, right? So everybody says, I'm working on earthquake. The organization should not follow the same trend. Their think tank, the people who are doing this strategy planning, should think, they should analyze, they should take the in-depth knowledge of their issues and problems and then only start working. Practically, this implies that organizations should be careful to accept the current strategy and the decisions as only the truth. So, what is in your present? All right, that is truth. The future is hypothesis, it is assumptions. If this can happen and this cannot happen. Scenario planning helps you to avoid group thinking, constructively encourage non-conformity, and help members involved in the process to broaden their perspectives and view of both the organization and the external operating environment. Okay. Now, practically, this implies that organizations should be careful to accept the current strategy, right? Let's accept what is the present situation and the decision according to the present situation. Okay. Scenario planning helps you avoid group thinking, constructively encourage non-conformity, and help members involved in the process to broaden their perspective. Now, you know what happens? The future is very uncertain, right? The future is very uncertain. So, scenario planning is just helping you to think about the future. Think about the future means not all the people will do that. Otherwise, nobody will work for the present. They have a group of people, they will have a group of top management people who will do scenario planning. Okay. All right. In a nutshell, I will just explain you this word which you all need to know, non-conformity. Right. Non-conformity means, for example, I'll give you, like some people do not follow the dress code, then they come late for the work, right? Then they do their mobile phones during their work. That is called as non-conformity. So scenario planning helps you to avoid group thinking and constructively encourage non-conformity. And it non-conformity is non-performance, small non-performance, and help members involved in the process to broaden their perspectives and view of both the organization and external environment. For example, a CHRO, Chief Human Resources Officer, we spoke we spoke to where is that? We spoke to recently. Okay. For example, a CHRO we spoke recently, sorry, I did extra two. Recently had to help his executive team to rethink business process that had been in place for decades. So this business process was quite old and they needed some changes as the business was responding to COVID-19 pandemic. His role was to ask the difficult questions and pull the team out of the expected normal. So a pandemic coming to the new normal was a very challenging situation to all the CHROs. Now let's see how the process is. The process of scenario planning differs from method to method and from one organization to another. For the purpose of this article, we will explain a generic approach that highlights the central premises, that means the central factor or the central component of scenario planning. Now there are 5 factors. Explore external trends. All right, see, explore external trends. In this step, the companies utilize external data to identify macro trends. Now you know what is micro and you know what is macro. Micro is at a smaller level, macro is at a larger level. Okay, in this step, the companies utilize external data to identify micro trends that would potentially influence the business. It involves exploring current market trends and using available data to determine the relevance of certain trends. All right, to determine the relevance of certain trends. Importantly, this step is not about creating new trends, right? It is not about creating new trends, but it is identifying the importance of the current trend. All right, what is the current trend going on? We do a research whether it's good or bad, and it also determines the possible effect it can have on the organization. So we are dealing about current trends, we are studying the current trends, and side by side, we are trying to explore new trends also. For instance, the the aging population and decreasing population growth were explored by a retailer of baby diapers in Japan and Germany. Right? Now, the aging population and the decreasing population growth. So, all the senior citizens percentage was rising and the new generation was decreasing. Were explored, the keys were explored by a retailer of a baby diapers in Japan and Germany. This led to decision to diversify. This led to a decision to diversify product development into adult home care products. Right? Now, how was this diversification done? It was not done all of a sudden. They had to do some market research. Now, when they did the market research, they took the demographics of that place, like demographics of Japan and Germany. That means which people, age group people are more. So, what did they analyze? What was the outcome? That the aging population was more. All the oldies, goldies, right? All the senior citizens were more in number, and the young people were less in number. So This led to a decision to diversify product development into adult home care because the target market was the adults, into adult home care products to mitigate. To mitigate means to tackle, to take care of the risk of diminishing returns in the newborn market. I hope you all know what is diminishing returns, yeah? Law of diminishing returns. Law of diminishing returns forms the basis for law of demand. And that's why the curve of law of demand goes from left to right, sloping downwards. The law of diminishing returns in the newborn market. Second is, second is frame your horizon and parameters. The most scenario process utilize various time horizons to make scenarios more robust and focus on a medium to a longer term time frame. Depending on the business and industry, this could range from 5 to 20 years. All right. So you just see what it is, how the time horizons are taken into consideration. 5 to 20 years. That means on a medium to a longer term time frame, it is going to be 5 to 20 years depending on the business and the industry. The longer the time frame, right? The longer the time frame, the more theoretical scenarios tend to become. As an organization, we need to make several assumptions. This is what I said. We need to make several assumptions, and assumptions, if they are true, you need to support with an evidence. Assumptions, if they are false, again you need to support with an evidence. To make several assumptions to define solid scenarios. If your organization is new to the process, it is better to first work within the shorter time frame. If your organization is new to the process, don't jump for a longer time frame. First, you study the process, and for that, you need to work in a shorter time frame. Like, suppose a simple example, day to day example, you are going to the market and you see a new quality of rice coming. All right, what you do is you don't buy 10 kilos all of a sudden. You'll buy some 200 grams, you'll cook it first, and if you like it, then you'll go for more because it is a new product. During this step, the organization also frames the parameters of the scenario process by setting boundaries. Specifically, this entails defining what is the question that we hope to explore, right? When we are creating a scenarios, you create a scenario. What is the question you would like to be answered for? Why are you creating the scenarios? And what will we not explore, right? See, what we are looking for, that is a core objective. And what will we not explore? We are not exploring everything. Now, in this scenario planning, we are trying to explore, or we are trying to study only the issues and problems which a company is facing, right? So, little bit of quest analysis. We are trying to look into the issues and the problems, and simultaneously, we are trying to work on those uncertainties which can come, right? Which can happen. So, we are trying to prepare ourselves for those uncertainties. So, a level of preparedness increases in scenario plan. For example, the organization in the health industry explore potential scenarios of privatizing the healthcare system. For them, the questions to explore range from various degrees of privatization and its impact on the operations. Insurance is getting privatized? Yes, it is. And then we will again study. Okay, if we are privatizing, what will have an effect on the organizations and the operations as well? They set a boundary not to explore political scenarios in the country, even though these would influence their scenarios. They set a boundary to not explore political scenarios. So it's decided We will see everything. We will see the various parameters of the external environment, but we will not go into the political scenarios. Even though political scenario played a very important role, right? Political scenario would have an impact on the organization. But tentatively, they decided they will look into the all parameters. They will not look into the political scenarios. Instead, they focused more on specific questions related to their contest, right? Whatever other parameters, they focused more on that. This is an important point. Setting the scenarios too broad will create scenarios that will be too high level and not inform any concrete responses. So many scenarios you have created, so many, so many. So what happens in the end, it becomes very difficult for a company to focus on those scenarios which are really, really important to them. Similarly, the setting the parameters too narrow will result in the scenarios that do not encourage. Now, what is this point says that you should not focus on too many scenarios. It will give you, the results will not be so good. But if you consider the scenarios to be too narrow, the results will not be encouraging, and there will not be new thinking, there will not be new ideas, there will not be any creativity, there will not be any innovation. So you should have a balanced act when you're selecting the scenarios. It does not encourage new thinking and remain too close to the current reality. Now, step three, build your scenarios, right? Working within a multidisciplinary group, formulate 3 to 5 scenarios in terms of different levels of probability. Now, you know what is probability. Now, I don't know. I just go to a 10th standard. If you're tossing a coin, you will have either head or you will have tail. So the probability, you have two outcomes, head or tail. Out of that, there will be only one outcome. So your probability becomes 1/2. It is important to build scenarios upon the data that enables participants to make informed choices about possible futures. What can be the future outcomes? Depending on the approach, organizations should be building at least one worst case scenarios. You know, the FBI in USA works according to worst case scenarios. You'll always hear this word from my mouth in the organization: a best case scenario and a probable alternative scenario. Worst case scenario, worst to worst, what can happen? Worst to worst, what can be the outcome, right? You will do your scenario planning according to that. A best case scenario and a probable alternative scenario. Scenarios are not mutually exclusive. So, so be clear about the differences within each scenario. How many scenarios? You need to have a clear-cut bifurcation. Secondly, to use an example from practice, let's evaluate a grocery retailer with a large national footprint. Okay, grocery retailer. They use scenario planning to understand the impact of digital platforms like apps and the online shopping on their business. The scenarios below were created in response to the external trend of retailers entering the online shopping market and enabling customers to buy groceries online and have them delivered to their door, right? So how much has online shopping affected the business in a positive way or in a negative way? Now let's see the worst case scenarios. Worst case scenarios: e-commerce enters the grocery retail domain and the need for a physical grocery store footprint diminishes, right? So nowadays, what we do, we are sitting at home and even we are ordering the groceries online. Amazon is giving us, then Big Basket is giving us, then Farm Fresh is giving us. So what has happened? The shopkeepers who are running the grocery stores, they got affected. So that was the worst case scenario, right? How would the local shopkeeper survive? E-commerce enters the grocery retail domain, and the need for a physical grocery story footprint diminishes, means it goes away, it's off. Consumers want online services and are prepared to pay more for their convenience of getting their groceries delivered. Nobody wants to move out of the house. Fast moving players with better technological capability flood the market. Now, who are the fast moving players? Big Basket. All right. Then we had, you know, Big Basket. I hope everybody knows Big Basket. Big Basket came up with Big Basket Daily also. So Big Basket Daily delivers milk daily to the consumers doorstep. Fast moving players with better technological capability flood the market and build a strong distribution network to meet online delivery demands. Now, this was the worst case scenarios. See, one industry really boomed and the other industry, the same product went down. Then best case scenarios. E-commerce has gained some traction in the grocery and retail market. Now, there is a still need for a strong physical presence in stores across the country. We can partner with third-party sellers to meet the demand, right? Third-party sellers, right? Suppose I am having a grocery store, or see, the best thing is, no, the Zomatos and what is that? Which is the other one?
Swiggy.
Swiggy. They partner with restaurants. All right. So what is happening? The restaurants business is also going up. The Swiggy, Zomatos is also earning something. So that becomes the best case scenario. Are you getting worst case scenarios and best case scenarios? Worst case scenarios means only one industry goes up at the cost of the other industry. The other industry is gone down. Best case scenarios, both the industries are enjoying, both the industries are flourishing. E-commerce has gained some traction in the grocery and the retail market. However, there is still a need for strong physical presence in the stores across the country. We can partner with third parties to meet the demand of the online consumer and use our local grocery stores as a depot hubs that utilize our current logistics network to meet the demands. Now, if you go to Kodwa side, this Amazon has a big hub. All right, they have a big hub, um, and even Big Basket has got a big hub distribution network. One is at Wakad, one is at Kodwa. So what they are doing, they're doing a tie-ups. They're doing a third-party tie-ups. Then mid-range scenario. See, first one we studied was worst case scenario, right? Someone is making profits and the other one is losing business. Best case scenarios, both are doing well. And the mid-range scenario, e-commerce becomes an integral part of the business to complement the physical grocery store footprint. Here, footprint means, the physical grocery store. Please start using corporate words now. By enabling online options, we can expand our market to smaller towns. For example, Zomato's. If you go on Zomato's, you'll get many restaurants, right? Right? You get many restaurants. You get offers. So Zomato's is doing a tie-up with those restaurants. We can expand our market to smaller towns where it did not make sense previously to have a physical store by allowing deliveries and orders during the week to these consumers. So mid-range scenarios is helping the smaller towns where they did not have enough of physical stores. Mid-range scenarios is helping them. Now just see, we have scenario A and implications, scenario B and implications, scenario C and implications, and scenario D and implications. Now again I repeat, scenario planning is we are peeping into the future. All right. Then we'll have strategies. We are defining the strategies. Okay. Now just see, once you created and validated your scenarios, validated means yes, you're bang on. Now I want to create this scenario. The team needs to decide on the strategic choices they have to inform. A strategic choice indicates alternative responses based upon the assumptions of each scenario. For example, we have taken an example of a grocery retail. By viewing the crafted scenarios, the company faces some strategic choices that they need to explore. They need to clarify the desired response and the action that the organization should take regarding these scenarios. All right. First one, do we want to compete in the e-commerce market? Answer is yes. If you want to compete, what are we going to do? If the answer is no, then what options we have? Do we believe product diversification will retain current and bringing new consumers to our stores? Then, do we invest in building an online e-commerce capability? What are we going to get? Return on investments? Then, do we have a partner with others to extend the delivery distribution services? Are we partnering with a third party? Given our size, can we compete with the new players entering the market by pushing down our prices? If we are going to push down our prices, what are going to be our losses? Then, the purpose of this step is to generate a variety of actions that organizations can consider in response to the scenarios above. Scenarios above. If it's yes, what are you going to do? If it is a no, what are you going to do? The purpose of this step is to generate a variety of actions that the organization can consider in response to the scenarios above. Once you are where you have developed a list, categorize it into themes that deal with the choices of similar nature. For example, you could group strategic choices related to, yes, pricing together. Other categories could be capabilities and skills, then logistics and partnership. That means these are the parameters you should work on. The organization should define a desired strategy response that coincides. Now, for example, if you're taking pricing, yes, it can be a yes or no. And how are you going to tackle if it's a yes or no? Capabilities and skills. Yes, I do have the capabilities and skills. What are you going to do with that? Yes. If you don't have the capabilities and skills, how are you going to work it out? Similarly, it goes with logistics and partnership. For a grocery store, we could define the following for the best scenarios. With the view, reviewing the crafted scenarios, the companies face strategic choices they need to explore. Now, these are the, in case of grocery, we are going to explore these factors. All right. Why to grocery stores? Because e-commerce, we are going to consider these factors. Okay. Okay. Pest analysis has come down. Sorry, pest analysis came here. Then see, I've given you, we will do some case studies also. I'm sorry, pest analysis came down, it should go up. Then build external flags and internal triggers. The last step in the scenario planning process is identifying external flags and internal triggers. Means external flags means external factors that help us monitor when we design scenarios are becoming more or less probable if our scenarios are right or wrong. External flags are developed as specific events to watch out for. Like, we will watch out whether this factor is working or not. They will tell us that the probability of the scenario occurring is increasing and decreasing the internal triggers. So, in a nutshell, the external flags or the events will tell us how the internal events are getting affected. So, for example, in a grocery example, a flag that could be identified for worst case scenario is when new delivery partners receive significant funding. I am having a tie up with the delivery partner. Now, suppose I am a restaurant owner, my delivery partner is Zomato's. What that delivery boy from Zomato's does not have petrol in his vehicle. What are we going to do? Right? And then that person will not reach on time. We are not giving good customer service. In the bargain, the customers will start switching to other options, like say Swiggy. By viewing these events, we can see that the worst case scenario is becoming more probable. So, the most important thing in scenario planning is the worst case scenarios. And the word worst case scenarios came from FBI, USA. They do the worst case scenario planning. So if the grocery retailer made the strategic choice to change pricing strategies to make new things work, new strategies to work. All right, is it clear? Tomorrow I'll take advantages and disadvantages and we will complete this topic. Is it clear? Is it clear? Yes? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is this? Please tell me your name.
Dikshita.
Dikshita, are you getting this topic? Very
Yes, yes,
important
ma'am.
from the examination point of view. Again, I'm going to give you once we complete the chapter, one session, I'm going to review these topics again. All right? Is it clear? So I will
Yes,
end the
ma'am.
session. Yes, anything you want to ask? Anything you want to ask, please? All right. So we will stop the session for today. If you have anything, you please let me know. If you have any difficulty, don't hesitate. Don't sit there for your difficulties to be solved till the exam approaches. Be proactive enough. Come and ask me. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Thank you for attending the session. Yes. Thank you for attending the session. I'm saying. Have a nice day.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. You all can leave.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a nice day.